Do you want to be a mother?
I do.
Given what we're seeing now, I mean, a lot of people in South Africa have babies. Fathers are absent in some instances. In some instances, they are involved, but it's a co-parenting situation. Do you want to be a mother, and in which structure?
I do want to be a mother, but I want the father of my child to be the love of my life.
Nah,
Yes.
slaps different, I think.
It does. I think we should be, when we decide to have a child, we should be in marriage. So I want to, when my kids come back from school, either mom or dad must be home.
Yeah.
Dad mustn't come on the weekend to check up on the kids.
Yeah.
He must fully be involved. Because
Yeah.
I've seen how it works. I don't think I imagine a life where even now I go home and my mom and my dad.
Because that's the structure
That's the
you
structure
grew
I
in,
know.
you grew up in.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing I know. Even with my aunts, my cousins, everyone does with their mom and dad. So that's what I also want for myself, because I've seen how it's important. There are things that
it
can
is.
only be solved by my dad,
Yeah.
even if my mom is around.
Yeah.
And there are things I can only say to my mother.
Yeah. Hello, Alpha Female family, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Alpha Female podcast. Today, we're talking about just different things that affect us as different generations, especially as women of color. This is a home where we have heterodox conversations that affect women of color and by women of color through their voices. Today, I'm not alone. I am with Lerato, Morei, who is a 2000 who's going to help me understand her generation more as I share what I have known to learn and grow up as. My name is Lungi and I am your host. Hello, Sissy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, thanks.
How are you feeling today?
Excited.
Ah.
I have a lot to say. So that's exciting.
It's very exciting. So, Lerato, how we actually met was, I don't know if you remember, I was giving a speech.
Yes. So you were invited in our high school and you were like a definition of true success for young girls like us, which is true, I guess.
I guess. Well, I've grown a lot from that point. So Lerato and I went to the same high school, and I left later. When I came back to give that speech, there was a couple of you who have now become my mentors, and that's why you are here. You always ask me such hard questions. I think it's because most of the time it's stuff that I haven't thought about. And then when you ask me, I'm like, how to get a mentor? What do you mean?
Because like I sit, right, and say, oh, I'm not going to be able to deal with this alone.
Yeah.
I obviously need someone to unpack this with,
Yeah.
and you're the nearest person. So it makes things easier for me.
I love it. Don't stop. But before we get into our conversation, we like playing games in this household to break the ice when we start. So we're going to play a game called This or That. It's a very simple game. I'll give you two options and you have to choose one. And maybe we'll talk about why that one.
Okay.
Let's start. Amapiano or jazz?
Jazz.
Why jazz?
It calms me down.
Yeah.
I have such a busy life.
Yeah.
And if maybe on a Saturday I want to feel alive or something, I find it in jazz.
It's not in A.
No.
Yebo,
I do listen to Amapiano obviously when I'm out, but on a normal Tuesday, a normal Monday, you'll find me listening to jazz. Always.
Yeah. Well, who's your favorite artist right now?
Tandin Duli.
Oh,
always.
She's amazing.
Bongeziwe Mabandla.
He's
also
amazing.
killing it.
Yeah.
I love hip hop. So
Okay.
Aries. Everyone that knows me knows I'm always listening to Aries. So yeah.
So we add him.
I think
on
currently
there.
in South Africa, I could say that's my top 3. But there's also a new lady that's killing it. Her name is Leah Patla. Check her out.
Okay,
I think you'll
don't know
like her.
Okay,
I think you'll like her.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the UK or the US?
I think the UK.
The UK?
Yeah, it just makes more sense for my career.
Oh, okay. And then an island or a city?
Funny enough, a city.
Really? Like in New York? You're a New York girl?
Yes.
Not like a Maldives?
I think I'd feel more alive in a city than an island.
So the bars, the
Yeah,
moves.
that's what I want.
Ah, okay, very interesting. And then this one, I'll add a bit of context to it. If you had to be born in a different time period, would you be born in the 90s or 80s? So Gen X or millennial?
Hey.
Both options are like, hey.
I think maybe in the 80s. Because I believe, well, from what I'm seeing,
Yeah.
the women that were born around that time, when they were 21, there might have been a lot of opportunities
Yes,
because there was this
true.
excitement for Black women and
True,
blackness.
true.
Also, I just want to be alive when we got our freedom.
Yeah,
I
ne?
just want to be able to see that. And that's something I won't be able to experience because
Yeah.
I was born in this freedom.
Yes,
Yeah.
true, true. And the women of that time, I guess also they were the start of the revolution.
Yes.
Whereas Tina, we're doing other revolutions out here and figuring ourselves
They
out.
ran for us.
Okay, that's a very interesting perspective. But Tige, before we get into more detail about the questions that we've prepared for each other. So this podcast is slightly different in a sense that we've prepared questions for each other
Yes.
in light of our different perspectives to actually unpack. So tell us a bit more about Lerato.
Okay.
You know when people are like, Lerato eats.
Lerato is just Lerato is just a girl, hey? A girl that was born and raised in Soweto.
Mkhaya.
Yes, primary school, went to Soweto schools, high school still in Soweto. And then I did my undergrad and postgrad in ecos at UJ. And now I'm in banking.
Yeah.
And
Girlies, corporate girlies.
So yeah, now I'm a corporate girlie. But when I'm not working, you'll always find me with my friends. Obviously, I'm single. So always have to be with friends. If not, with my sister. I love my sister. My parents did a big one for me there with my sister.
She always comments on our TikTok posts.
Yes.
Every post.
That's my sister. I love her so much and I want her to always know this. She's the love of my life. If not with my sister listening to jazz shows. Yeah.
And also, and how are you now getting into our conversation? How have you found work? So how have you found work? And then maybe the second to that, what's been the most shocking thing for you about corporate?
Okay, how do I find it? I could say in the beginning I found it really challenging because I got into a space where no one was like me. Most of them are not from townships. They went to great schools. They have a great background. They've experienced a lot of stuff. And with me, I had a lot of firsts in corporate. Like the first time I went to go play golf was with work.
Yeah.
The first time I had to go and play paddle was through work.
Yeah.
The first time I went to a nice fancy restaurant was through work.
Yeah.
And they had already experienced that. So it was a culture shock.
Culture shock, yes.
A culture shock. But I think I'm slowly getting there.
Yeah. You look great.
Thank you.
So you definitely are a corporate baddie.
Another thing that has shocked me, obviously, when you're from varsity, there's independence with varsity. You decide that, today I'm going to go to campus. But today I don't feel like. With work, no.
Yeah, you have to be there.
Even if you feel a cramp somewhere, you have to show up. You constantly have to show up, and not just for yourself, for other people also.
Yeah.
So that has been a...
And in that, so now you've described two things actually. The first one is, besides the culture, the things that were your first are actually networking opportunities.
Yes.
That other kids were exposed to, which you
Earlier
didn't even
on.
know,
Yes.
which is the networking opportunities. And then the second one that you've kind of spoken about is that transition, right, in going into work, and that as a shock. So if you had to go back and redo it, what would you do differently if you think there was an opportunity?
With work. I think one thing even now I'm still working on how to just get over myself.
Okay.
Like people are not thinking about you like that.
They don't.
people are not thinking about you as much as you think they are. With my line of work, you obviously have to talk to different people, and
Yes.
I've struggled at, oh, this lady's too beautiful. What would she say to me?
Yes.
What am I going to say to this white man?
Yeah.
But I feel like in the beginning, I could have done better.
Yeah.
When it came to approaching people.
Yeah.
Finding better strategies to handle conversations. But I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
Do you think also it's like a generational kind of thing? Or
Yes, it is.
I mean, I've seen it. You're my mentee. You've come to me with the stuff. But I don't think it's unique to Gen Zs as well. When I started working as an introvert, like completely introverted. I liked sitting at my corner. If I'm told to do 1, 2, 3, I'd just focus on doing 1, 2, 3, and then I'm done. Like,
yeah, I think the mistake is
my
always
work.
assuming that when you go into corporate or into the workspace, you just have to go there, do your work, and leave.
Yes.
It's not just that. There's relationship building.
Yes.
There's so much that
communication skills
you have to do.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And for me, the person that helped me recognize that was my mentor. He literally dug me out of that corner. He was like, this is not going to fly. This is not going to work. You need to claw yourself out of that. So I think it's often a misconception that comes from, say, for instance, when you're from our backgrounds.
yes.
Because even at school, I remember being explicitly told that all you had to do was study,
And then
get
you're
great
going
marks,
to be great.
and you're great. You're going to be awesome. But that hasn't been the case. There's so much more that you have to do and nuances. What would you say now, knowing that you know what you know, you've done really well in that space? Even for yourself. It doesn't have to be for work. I brought in millions. Just for yourself.
Okay. One thing, let me go back to something I should have done early, was getting a coach, especially a black woman. A black woman that will coach you and tell you that, okay, this is how you navigate through your blackness in this space. This is how you navigate through your gender in this space. And this is how your education is going to help you. But there are moments where your education is not going to save you. So I feel like I should have obviously got a coach earlier on. And things would have been better.
And you have one now, so you're fine.
Yes, she's really, really helping me. The other time she was just telling me about having courageous conversations with people.
Yes,
especially
I love that term,
especially in the workplace, that you need to find your voice and you have to use it once you find it. So she excites me. She also makes me feel so excited about the kind of person I'll be in 10 years.
Yeah, and the type of leader that you want to be. Probably my other question around work is also leaning into that. So when you started off, obviously when we're younger, we have dreams and goals and who we think we're going to be. Now that you're in this space, started to work, had these shockers, has that changed from 18-year-old you to now you?
I have changed a lot. I think even because I started working beginning of last year.
Yeah.
The person I was, Jan 2023, is way different to the person I am now. Because there were things, the 2023 Lerato didn't even think were, in reach for her.
Yeah.
But I feel like right now I have dreams I didn't have last year.
Yeah.
I have certain things I want to achieve.
Yeah.
And those are things I wouldn't even have thought about.
Because you know what's possible.
Yeah. As I said, and there's also this thing of now I see myself more as a leader.
Yeah.
And last year, it was more of doing what I have to do.
Yeah.
And that's it, getting a salary. That's what
Yeah.
I required.
So
but
feely.
yes, but now it's more than money. It's more than money. I want my mental health to get better, because I know if my mental health is better, more money is going to come.
Yeah. Recovery is part of peak performance, in the words of Ariana Huffington. But I think leaning into that as well, like, again, there's that misconception that, all you need is a job and that's about it. But when you are in those spaces, you also get exposed to what's possible, what more looks like, and the path is kind of there, unlike before. So it always helps to be in that space, and it's great that you have a coach. Do you have questions for me?
Yes, I do. I do. I want to ask you that obviously you are an engineer from Soweto.
Yes.
You're young.
Am I still young?
You are. You're young female. Have you felt any pressure from your family and just in the workspace that, because you're a Black woman, you have to show up more? Or do you constantly have to prove yourself? You feel like you're proving yourself way more than the other people who obviously you have no similar?
Yeah. I think, let me start off with how we grew up, right? And where we're from. I think naturally you are pressured. You are literally...
Are we?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a few people who feel pressured, because I see how people live.
And you're like they
aren't you? Am I the only one who's aware of what's going on here?
Are they chilled? I guess if you're driven, maybe let me paraphrase that and say if you're driven, you would feel the pressure. One, for me, for the longest time, I used to think, and some of it is still true, my sole purpose was taking my family out of poverty.
Yeah, same.
Ne? I used to think that was my sole purpose.
That, if I start working, I'm going to get my brother this. My sister's going to get this.
Everyone's going to get houses. That type of thing. But it also crippled me in a sense, because now I was working myself to the bone. You're also not sure of the people's dreams and aspirations in actual facts. This, whatever you're planning to buy, you're not even sure if that's what the person wants. So they are just taking. You are just being depleted. So for me, the first thing I had to do to kind of reprieve that pressure is redefine my purpose. Not make it just bring my family out of poverty, right? So when I did that redefinition, it then aligned to who I am and me. And I could then, pace myself. And I think in the workspace as well. So like you said, we come from Soweto. Man, Mina, I even had trouble in varsity understanding English. Like,
yes.
I couldn't quite, and I don't know if you're not from Soweto and didn't go to school in Soweto, I don't know if you're gonna get this.
You don't have enough English.
Like, you've learned it, you know it, but there's a different level of English, that first language English. So my first year was very tough for me, because no matter how hard I studied, I had to listen to the lectures times 2. I had to do,
because you did physics
5
in Zulu. You did maths in Sana.
I did English in Spade.
Yes.
Do you understand? And granted, our teachers did the best that they could. So grateful for them with the resources that they had. But that was the bridge that I needed to close, in a sense, or gap I needed to bridge. Then now you go into corporate. Now that's another adjustment.
Yes.
You are also fighting the things against yourself, right? At the time when I started working, I wasn't earning much. So my clothes were from Mr. Price. So the heels and whatnot, I had to take the bus. One moment, I'm in pumps. When I get to work, I'm in heels. I'm the girl, trying to put together. So it's also those things, those nuances that make you feel like, okay, I'm super pressurized. When you are an engineer, you work with men primarily. I mean, at some point, I was the only woman or girl. That also makes you tough. So I had to decide, what kind of tough do I want to be? And what kind of leader do I want to be? Do I want to lead with vulnerability? Do I want to have a bit of both? Do I want to be assertive at some point? Yabo? And what serves me? What doesn't serve me? And I think for the greater part of my years, especially in my 20s, I worked very hard. I pushed harder than everyone in the room because of all of those differences, because I wanted to prove I could be at the same level as them.
Okay, my second question is, how do you prioritize your mental health as a successful Black woman?
Mental health is so important. It's a topic close to my heart, and I just said because I used to push myself. I wanted to prove that I could do it, and even early career. So when I was doing the Edison engineering program, I was the first one globally from South Africa to do it. So that's already pressured. You can't fail, right? And I think in my 20s, I ignored my mental health completely. All I wanted to do was get to the levels that I wanted to, make sure that I'm pushing my goals, whether financial or otherwise, school and all of that jazz. I completely ignored it. Only in my 30s did life actually humble me that I actually had to take time and take care.
So in your 20s, you were
of
that
myself.
girl.
20s, no stopping. Why? I even had, I think my friends called me something. Like I had a name even. You ever know that name?
Yes.
Because hey, when you pull a lungi, whatever. But I used to sleep very late, wake up super early, gym, all of those things. But then in my 30s, my body crashed twice significantly. And I think the first crash was just like, oh, okay, I'm in pain or whatever. Then you end up in hospital, then you're in IV drips, da, da, da. And then they tell you, okay, you need to slow down. But you go back because you're still trusting your ways of work
Yes.
that have gotten you to that point. And then same thing happened, but a bit more drastic this time. So I think it's very important to pause, to rest,
But how do you just
to work from the place of rest.
I think it's how do you
Use
just
your leave.
decide? Okay.
Use your leave for one. I found that in my 20s, I actually never took leave.
Really?
I never took leave. Like, you know, when people take 2 weeks leave, 2 weeks as in together.
Yeah.
Not like a Friday and a Monday and a what and a... That's what I used to do.
No, it's as you are forced.
Yeah. So take leave. Take the 2 weeks. Because you know what happens in the first week? You're tired.
You're tired.
You're still, getting rid of the clank. You know what happens in the second week? Relief. Relieve your body being like, oh my gosh, I am sleeping. This is good. So use your leave. Also, as best as you can, use your weekends. Use your weekends to refuel and fuel your cup.
I just always say I feel like 24 hours is just not enough. It's just not enough. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. You get to the office by 8. You probably leave around 6. And then you're home around to 7, past 6. You still want to work. Well, that's me. And I get home, I know that, hey, I still have things to do. I can't just sleep.
Yeah. I'm the same, but I've learned that it's not healthy long term. In fact, I know for a fact, Suguti, you are going to gula. You're going to get sick.
My thing is, I feel like it seems to be, well, for successful people, it seems to be the formula, the hours. Can you be successful if you get into the office at 8 and then at 3 your laptop is off?
I think it depends.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it depends. I think it depends on your deliverables, how you prioritize and how you push your work and whether you can have focus time. A lot of people can't do work because we don't have enough focus time. So what happens when you go to the office? You get to the office at 8. Your friends start arriving around the same time. You guys go and grab coffee at like... I don't know, 8:15, you chill, you talk. At 9, actually, that's where you start doing the work. But at 9:30, there's a meeting. At 11, there's a meeting. You still haven't gotten focus time to actually push your deliverables. But if you get to work at 7:30, push or have focus time between 7:30 and 8. When your friends get there, you're a bit far.
Okay.
You're also not eating into your time later on. So I think it's finding strategies like that can give you time back and knowing how you work. So for instance, I'm definitely a girl who needs her corner. So I can't work in group settings the whole day, the whole week. A recipe for disaster.
I think I've learned to just thrive in both.
Which is great. So maybe now it's a matter of like prioritizing. And that's part of taking care of yourself. Building boundaries and prioritization. Because some things are more important than others. Some things are more important depending on the timeline. So some things become important because you haven't gotten to them. But had you gotten to them 2 weeks earlier, they actually wouldn't be that much of a higher priority later.
Okay.
And so it's also navigating those little things. And the other very important thing that I've learned in my career, which is tough, by the way, to learn, is communicating your needs.
Okay.
You can't be successful if you don't communicate your needs. But also when you are given what you've asked for or the framework, then you need to excel. Because what that does is build the reputation behind.
And
trust.
Yeah, I've learned that.
Yeah.
Especially with these sessions you have with your manager.
Yeah.
That you need to clearly communicate it with them that this is what I require from you. And this is how I'm going to show up.
Yes.
This is not what I'm going to accept.
Yes.
And yeah.
Yes, that helps. When I started working, I think also because I think in our generation, like as millennials, we're like trapped between you guys. You know how much Gen Z, I see it even with people that report into me. They're just like, sorry, Sissy, I'm not going to work. You'll find it tomorrow. Whereas with us, you were there afraid. You didn't really have a voice. We didn't have as many platforms as this to kind of teach us. So you're just kind of there saying yes, yes, yes to everything. And that's how you find yourself overworking because you don't have also those mini boundaries to help you balance your
I think with me,
health.
I've just learned that. For example, if you're a manager, Lungi is someone else's friend, man. She can't be that difficult. Like,
she can't be that
maybe
deep.
My manager is a Sipo. That's someone's father. It can't be that deep. If you just communicate with this person, the worst they could say is no. But it's not that serious. It's really not.
How have you found? Yeah, that's true. But also, you must do what you are supposed to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So I always say, your say-do is very important. That's actually how I was successful in my 20s because my say-do was impeccable. When I started being sick, being in these whatever's, work was great, but in my life, my say-do wasn't that great. It was great all round. As in I was that friend, I was... So now building back to being that person is even taking time because I didn't take care of myself. Yeah. How have you found dating and love, Gena?
I think dating...
In your generation, like, I'm a 2K.
It's just a mess. It is. I don't know how to put it, but what's happening in the streets, the game is colder for us. I feel like with you guys, at least, there's standards. But my fellow 2K men, they want to be chased.
Oh, princesses.
Yes, I think that's what we are experiencing. But I am a late bloomer.
Yeah.
So I haven't dated much.
Yeah. So it's just like a shock.
Yeah, that, is this... Is this the game?
I recommend finding the love of your life in your 20s. I haven't, but I'm just saying from what I've seen, what I've experienced, I thought the 20s are better.
Hey, I don't know. I think with us, maybe you saying, I want to be with someone in something serious.
Yeah.
But... these 2K men, they have a lot of options. Hey, there's baddies, there's carpet hands. They have, choices. So it's hard for them, I think, to just pick.
To settle.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And I thought my 30s were harder. So in my 20s, I feel like I knew love. I was loved.
Oh.
The only difference is we couldn't align on career choices and how our blueprint was gonna look like. And I only got to know what I really wanted in my 30s. Then now that I know what I really want, the purpose I'll dance. It's a mess.
But do you have like a list that this is what I want in a man, this is what I don't want? Because I do have a list now.
I do. It's also evolved. Like there are some things I forget and then I add, Guti God, this is what I've experienced from your men. I think it is important to have this quality. So for instance, I think I had never thought effort was a thing, right? In my previous life, I thought it comes naturally. When someone likes you, pursues you, effort is a thing. It's there. I never had experienced until I was this years old that you have to chase someone if it is barely not there and stuff like that. So I've later added things like that, as specific as I could.
I haven't dated much, so my friends and I always say, when we talk about relationships, they'll say, Lerato, don't comment. We'll just say, don't comment, because what are you saying? And where did you experience that? Which is true. Like, I haven't been in much relationships to say, oh, I've experienced this has happened. Yeah.
But I also think you shouldn't rush, hey? Like, you shouldn't rush to be in that many. I think the relationship that matters the most is with yourself.
Okay.
Because what happens when you are in a relationship, you actually mirror parts of yourself that aren't whole.
Yes.
And sometimes you want the person to fill them, which is also unfair on the person. When you are the best version of yourself, you're living your life, that's already great. You can exist in the relationship, I think, authentically, than when you are trying to be like a choose me, pick me, if you have low self-esteem issues or things to deal with. So I think if I had a daughter, I'd rather have her invest in herself more and pour in herself more than try to be in as many relationships as they can be.
But you don't decide, eh? You don't decide for your daughter. That's what I've learned about just seeing from my friends that have kids now. That, motherhood is not what I thought it is. Like, it's not that simple.
Is it?
You don't get to decide that, my child is going to do this. Because I think also I had a difficult time with my father, who studied engineering, and he thought I would also be in engineering, which is why I did science. I did science in high school, and I passed my matric well. I could, if I applied for an engineering degree now, I'd get in, but I didn't like science. I really didn't.
I'm glad you didn't go for that, though.
No.
Yeah.
No. And to him, he was so confused when I had to now go to varsity, that I can't believe that you did all that maths for nothing. I can't believe you did all that science for nothing. And I was just like, you can't choose for me.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't choose for me. I am going to decide
for yourself,
for myself, that I'm going to be a finance babe, and that's it. And that's it. Yeah.
Do you want to be a mother?
I do.
Given what we're seeing now, I mean, a lot of people in South Africa have babies. Fathers are absent in some instances. In some instances, they are involved, but it's a co-parenting situation. Yeah. Do you want to be a mother, and in which structure?
I do want to be a mother, but I want the father of my child to be the love of my life.
It's different, I think.
It does. I think we should be, when we decide to have a child, we should be in marriage. So I want to, when my kids come back from school, either mom or dad must be home.
Yeah.
Dad mustn't come on the weekend to check up on the kids.
Yeah.
He must fully be involved. Because I've seen how it works. I don't think I imagine a life where even now I go home and my mom and my dad.
Because that's the structure
That's the
you
structure
grew
I
in, you grew
know.
up in.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing I know. Even with my aunts, my cousins, everyone does with their mom and dad. So that's what I also want for myself, because I've seen how it's important. There are things that
it
can
is.
only be solved by my dad,
Yeah.
even if my mom is around.
Yeah.
And there are things I can only say to my mother.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. I asked you this because you asked me. But you didn't ask me, like, oh, Ma, look, do you want to be a mother? You're like, did you just decide that you don't want kids? And want to be single?
no, I do want to have kids, but I know it's not something that's going to happen in the next 5 years or whatever. 'Cause
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense for my career.
Yeah. Also
It's-
to just, I guess, pace yourself, because those are lifetime commitments, right? Committing to someone. A kid is even a bigger commitment in actual fact.
I have nothing to offer a child right now. I'm going to be honest. I have nothing. I have nothing to offer them. I wake up around 6. I'm in the office. I come back in the evening.
Late.
I have my bread. I go to sleep. Following day, same thing. Now, if there's a child involved, if there is a child involved, I have to take them to school. Also, I see
Yes.
with the women in the office that have kids, it's not easy. It
You do
really
have
isn't.
to balance and have the right support structure as well. Whether single or married, you still need
Do you want
the
kids?
right support structure. I did.
So you don't anymore.
I don't know. I think I'm like you. So I didn't grow up in a family that had a mom and a dad. My dad lived across the street somewhere, and then my mom and gran are the ones that were like the hands-on parents. But I was loved by
Is
my
it
dad.
at that house that you posted the other time?
Yes.
I was just like, you meet people later in your life, but they've always been around you. Because I've been to that house multiple times.
Yes. So for context, my dad's house is close to your relative's
Yes.
house. So I posted it the one time and you were like, hey, I know this house. Yeah, so that was my dad. I knew that he loved me, and we were cool, but he wasn't like a hands-on parent.
Okay.
You know, like he wouldn't know what size shoe I wore, for instance.
But he was there.
But he was there. But for me, it then made me decide very earlier on in my life, Guti, I'm only going to have a child in marriage.
Yeah.
And I have seen how, I also feel like when someone loves you, ne, and you bring another person into the world, because there's so many changes that happen with pregnancy, whatever. I need someone to love me.
To love you.
And like me, so that they have the grace when I go through all of that.
But I always say you never know if someone likes you or not, eh?
But like is even harder, because like is I could chill with this person for the whole day and have a conversation.
We're just cool like
we're
that.
cool, yeah. So for me, that's always been a requirement. But obviously, the older I get and I don't see it happening, then it kind of takes the children out. Like I'm okay with not having kids if the one doesn't come. I'm not okay with having a child.
That's one thing I've been thinking about.
If the other doesn't come.
I was asking my friend that, what happens if now I'm 30?
Yeah.
I'm still single.
Yeah.
Am I going to
I'm
die?
older than 30. You're not going to die.
Am I going to just die without having babies? And am I going to take whatever's available just for me to have a baby?
Yeah. You still have time to think about it. But I decided not. I decided for me it's not an option. So if I go through life and no one decides, or I don't find a husband, or I don't meet the love of my life, whatever, then it means God didn't ordain me to have children, and that's okay. And I had to be okay with that. So also it didn't happen overnight to be okay with that, by the way. It took time. I took time with myself. It took a bit of therapy. It took time to accept and grieve that part of my life that I thought I'd have, and be okay with if it doesn't happen, which is where I am now.
Oh. Do you think we make great girlfriends as career women?
Good question.
And extremely busy, because you're busy.
Yeah.
2 a.m. you're working. 2 a.m. you're working. So do you think you are a great girlfriend?
I think yes and no. I think I'm an overthinker and overanalyzer. That's bad for a relationship. Oh, that's bad for a relationship, especially if you don't have handle over it. I think when you have handle over it, it's okay. Because if you're over analytic and an overthinker, everything is wrong.
For me, I feel like with my previous relationship, if I was overthinking stuff, it was true.
Sometimes that's the case.
Sometimes that's the case. Like I just say, this one, Kante, it's true. That's actually happening.
Sometimes that's the case. But I think because we are like that, we don't give people grace. So I'm not saying go around giving people grace unnecessarily, but I'm just saying no one is perfect. Most of the time, us as career women, we are trained to be perfect. And so that's what we expect from a partner. But sometimes when you found the good one,
Do you feel like a failure
don't.
when
Yeah.
your relationships don't work out?
Yes.
Me too.
Yes. Especially like if I feel like I had worked on myself, like being great. So where's the problem? Yes.
For me, I think the issue is, I think that was the first time I felt like I failed at something. Because everything I've wanted, I
It just
got.
happens.
It just happens.
Yes.
If I say,
also
I
had a
want to
similar
get this job,
experience,
I'm
yeah.
going to get it.
Yeah.
Or I think I should go for this qualification. I do get
Yeah.
it. And then now, here's this relationship. Oh, this must work out. And then it doesn't. And then
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. So I have in the past, but I've also learned to forgive myself and not carry the shame. And
Oh,
also,
there's so much shame.
Yeah. And also not internalize it. So, sorry. Apparently, women internalize things a lot more than men. That's why they seem like they're moving on quite quicker than us, because we think you should have known that this was not going to work out. You should have seen the signs.
I should have
whatever.
left sooner.
They just feel like, okay, I know what I want now. Bye. I'm going to try something else.
Yes.
It's not her. It's something else. So they don't make it as much about themselves as we do. So it's something that I've had to learn, especially in my 30s, because in my 20 relationships were not that horrible. Yeah, but so my 30s I was just like,
But how? What are we doing wrong?
what's happening? And I've had to forgive myself for the mistakes that I make.
Oh.
I don't know. What are you guys doing wrong?
I don't know. Hey? And it's my friends and I, same experiences. Just different men.
But maybe it's because people aren't ready. Because serious relationships require a certain level of commitment.
Yes.
And maybe that's not a trend
No,
in this day and age, in
not.
2024.
It's
Whereas
not.
when we were at varsity, that was a trend, that you could actually be with the same person for a certain amount of time. So maybe that's the difference.
I also thought maybe I'm just a difficult person.
It's easy
Maybe
to
I'm
think
too
that.
demanding. Maybe I want more out of people, more that they can offer. I have high expectations. I want people to be like this. You must have ambition. You must be loyal. You must be educated. You must.
That's not too hard. Those are not too hard.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not you.
Okay.
It's just not the right time and season at the moment.
Maybe this was not my season for relationships.
Yes. Focus on your career,
Yes,
girl.
let me focus.
But talking about season, which seasons are you in now, do you think?
Great friendships. I think that's what I am currently experiencing. Just companionship also in the workspace. I'm meeting great people at work, which is, people always say, don't make friends at work. Don't do this.
Yeah. But you spend a lot of time
You spend
there.
a lot of time with these people. And I've met really amazing people in the workspace. So, yeah, I think friendship is where I am right now.
Is it?
What about you?
Sure. Me, I think I'm in the waiting season. So there's something I've been working on so hard and crafting towards, and it feels close, and yet so far it feels like that 95% when you see, I guess, God at work, but the outcome is just not there yet. And that's the season I'm in, and it's tough also to be in that season, because you're ready to just enjoy the fruits, but there's more work to be done to
I'm
get
a
there.
crier, so those seasons, I'm always crying that, I did this, I did everything by the book. Why didn't it happen for me? Also, it's really, I can't say not nice, but when you watch it happen for other people,
Yes.
that's
So I had to learn early on in my career to be fine with that. When I started working, I used to use Padco. But because we had all studied engineering, people had cars. All
yes.
my friends had
They
cars.
buy the Mini Coopers. They're getting a nice BMW. You're still in the
All my
bus.
friends had nice cars. And I think I carried so much shame with that as well. Because, Padco gets stuck sometimes. But then I'd feel like some type of way. But it
Like
was
when
part of
people
my
ask
journey.
you, how do you get to work?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the bus.
Yeah. And it was part of my journey. I learned to embrace it. And through that experience, I learned to be happy for others. I had to trust that my turn would come. It's not my season right now, because at that time I was focusing on things at home and they
Yes.
didn't have that.
And people
that's
don't
okay.
understand it. Like people are always asking me, when are you going to buy a car? Oh, don't buy this car. I think this car would look. The installment is 15K. Installment is 15K for that car. I think this car would suit you. When are you getting a car? Oh, Lerato, you've been working for close to 2 years now. What's happening? It's just like, you don't know my life. You don't know my life like that.
And how do you stay in your own lane? Because you guys have social media. There's actual baddies. So people have diamond walk dates, Louis Vuittons. So how has it been like to stay in your lane?
I know that I can't be like them because there are other people depending on me. So I have to stay in my lane. Also, I'm not someone that's easily pressured.
Ah, good. Or influenced.
No, like you can come in with your Louis. I'm not going to get uncomfortable because I don't care for those things. I really don't care.
Would you say it also goes back to how you were raised and how you're grounded?
Yes. It teaches you how to, I feel like with where we come from, you come from humble beginnings, so you learn how to be grateful with what you have, because there was a point where you didn't have what you have now.
True.
You didn't have these fancy couches.
Yeah.
You didn't know what a nice good of coffee tastes like. So I think right now I just try to be grateful that I'm able to buy myself nice sneakers, because there was a time I couldn't buy myself nice sneakers.
Yeah, I think being grateful is such an important part of life. I keep a journal. So it's on my phone though, but for everything I'm grateful for, I note down. And then when I feel down, or like now I'm in the season, I go back and I read some of the things that I've written. They're always mind-blowing, right? Because some of them would actually be in different stages and seasons. I would have said, like, for instance, when I got the first apartment, I wrote Lapaya, okay, I love this place, whatever. Now I don't even live there anymore. Yeah, so it was that whole transition, Guti, from home to this. So it also helps, I guess, paint a picture of my journey and being patient with myself.
Oh, that's really nice. I should do that.
You should.
I should get into that.
You should.
I wanted to ask you. So you're a firstborn at home, right? I also am. Are there certain expectations that do you think your mother has for you? Like, like the questions like, when are you getting married? Oh, yes, it was man. Yeah, shut. Yeah. Oh, my mom has this new thing. So my parents are not that old. My mom is in her late 40s.
She's so hot, Njal.
Oh, my mom is a beautiful woman.
She's very hot.
She's very beautiful. And then my dad is in his early 50s.
So they're young.
They are young. But also for their generation, they had kids late. Because I'm 23 and my mom is like 48. Her friends, their kids are in their 30s.
Yeah.
So now their friends, they have, grandkids. And, my friends are also making babies. Yeah. So now it's a thing of, oh, I saw your friend. You're Oh, pregnancy, I'm fine. We were like, oh, good for her. And then the other time, my mom was like, oh, yes, Babako was carrying so and so's child, and I want him to experience that through you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so see, it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, there's definitely pressure, especially now because I'm older. Like I'm past 30, so now they just like, "Hibo." She even asked me, "Go to do bets for the other team."
My mom said I must. My mom said she's going to take me to date my family.
So I do get those questions quite a lot, and yeah. But I think also sometimes parents live vicariously through us.
Oh,
So you just need
yes.
proper boundaries to be like, I am not entertaining this, and also not to internalize it, right? Because sometimes they make it a problem with you. I mean, I've been told with Haibo, if this person can get married, surely you can get married.
You're educated. What's wrong with you? You're beautiful.
Surely.
You're educated. Why don't they want you?
Exactly. So it's to have proper boundaries around that and not to internalize it too much. And understand, because also they sometimes just want to live through you. Because it's going to be nice to be like, hey, umyeno ake. Or, you know, ingane ake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you talk to
Yeah.
your mom about relationships?
Not in detail. Do you?
No, I don't. At all. He'll try to ask me, oh, Yazi, last weekend, why not no moon? I was just like, no, I was with my friends. I mean, if I was with a guy, I was with my friends. That's it. I don't know. I feel like I respect my parents, so it's difficult to say to them, oh, I'm seeing someone.
So I had, not so much with my mom, but with my grandmother. We had an open relationship. Like, because she taught me about things that were uncomfortable, intimacy, stuff like that.
I've never had those
You've never had that
conversations.
talk?
No.
So I had it with my grandmother. So when I started dating, and like there was a potential, I'd tell her, hey, there's Mr. So-and-so. She'd even give them names. Hey, what's sexin'? When's that? And she'd give me advice based on what she knows of as well. She'd tell me, because I think you love this guy too much. And or I like this one. And then I had a super long-term relationship in my 20s. So she was convinced to that's her,
your husband.
You know, that's her mkwenyane. So she'd ask, oh, how's he doing? How are you guys? Are you fine? So I had that relationship. So I think it also helps to some extent because I could get her perspective, but she was open-minded herself. It wasn't, my mom is more closed-minded than...
I think my dad is.
Yeah.
So, also, my dad is very strict. He has a certain way of doing things. You're not home by this time. You're in trouble. So, you know that you can't. He'll fetch you at the gates. Yes. Every day, and he'll mark your books.
Oh yeah.
He'll take your classwork book and mark it. So why did you get this?
Why did you get a 90?
Yes, that's my dad. So with a man like that, you can't. You don't just say stuff. You don't just say, "Oh, this is a nice hot guy." You can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
So
say
it makes you reserved,
yes.
in a sense.
Yes,
and introverted.
There are things I just don't say at home.
Yeah,
it's just a rule.
Yeah.
So that's why I was wondering that because I see with my friends like, oh, Chumi, I'm going through a heartbreak, and my mom said us to this. I'm like, oh, you talk about heartbreak and this man cheated on me and you're going to tell your mom that? That doesn't happen for me.
But maybe it can start but little by little. Because the older you get, the more they start also seeing you as an adult, in a sense, and then give you that room again. You asked me about mental health. How are you taking care of yourself?
I haven't been taking care of myself here.
Oh, Sissy,
if I'm
no.
being honest. I haven't, but I've started this thing. So with my coach, there's just this thing where we try to assess, because you think you're doing great because your career is going great.
Yes.
Of which life is not just that.
Yeah, there's more to life than just the career. There's more to life than
just your career. So it's my career. There's relationships. There's relationships with friends and family. Your relationship with money. Your mental health. Are you going to the gym? Are you eating healthy? So when I thought I was okay because work was going great. And she said, oh, let's rate your health. Oh, 1 out of 10. I said 2, because nothing great was happening for me via health and all
Yeah.
those things. So with my mental health, I am going to try.
Okay.
I'm going to try these days. By 8, I'm not working.
Okay.
I try.
Okay.
I
Okay.
try.
And then also, have you found that with sometimes when you work a lot, you actually forget to take care of yourself? Like, but what I mean about that is you don't even eat well. I know when I'm working hard, Shem, I'm ordering more than I'm cooking and stuff like that. And now that I have time to pause a bit, I'm trying to rectify that and do better, even nutrition-wise.
I think this year, shame, I haven't been eating well. So at work, I obviously got more responsibilities this year. And I was excited that, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And that's exciting because now you see that your managers
Yeah.
obviously trust you now.
Yeah.
I was able to do the work, but I wasn't aware of the amount of time it would take and the amount of time it would take for me to train myself, like the courses I'd have to do for these new responsibilities to obviously understand things. There was this one day, I think I only ate around 7.
In the evening.
Ever since I woke up, I was just working because I just had back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
I just checked the time. It was 7. I hadn't drank water. I hadn't had anything to eat. I said,
Let's go back.
Let's just find. And I had a conversation with my manager, and I was honest. He asked me about my hours at work, and I told him that this is what I do when I wake up. This is the time I stop working. It's like, you need to do better.
Yeah. You need to do better, because if you don't take care of yourself, then even the work won't matter.
Yes.
Actually, you just die, they replace you, and life goes on.
A lady at work told me something, I think last week, that no one is irreplaceable.
So true.
You can be a trailblazer. You're so good at your job. You're bringing in the money, bringing in the deals. There's someone else who can do exactly what you're doing.
True. But they won't have your unique value. Just saying.
Okay, they won't. But someone else can write that report.
True. Have you thought about the type of leader that you want to become?
The type of leader I want to become. No, I think that's something I'm still working towards, because I'm just trying to also figure myself out. But one thing's for sure, I want to be a leader people have confidence in. And
Yeah, like people are proud of, ne?
yes, that, even whenever, I work for so-and-so.
Oh,
Yes, I want to come up in conversations that,
I like that.
yeah, I work for so-and-so. You know those women, when you say someone's name and the whole conversation now changes,
shifts.
that, you must be fancy because you work with that person. You must be great at what you do because you work with that person.
Because she's great.
Because she's great.
I like that. I really, really like that. I think about the type of leader that I want to become all the time. Because I think leadership shapes culture and shapes humans. So the biggest shift for me when I became a manager was actually realizing just how much influence I have on people, my moods, my life outlook, my outlook about the company, everything has an effect of people. So then it made me question a lot on the type of leader that I want to become and how I show up. And even at difficult moments,
Yes.
whether I wear full honesty, half honesty, which works best.
But I had a question on that, that, you are a leader, obviously, and you're trusted with certain things. Now, what happens when someone comes to you and you don't know how to solve the problem?
I think it's always okay to say you don't know, but go find out or find someone else who can assist and then go back and close the loop. I think a lot of people don't go back to close the loop. When you don't close the loop, people tend to not trust you or just think that you didn't take whatever they said into consideration.
Because I feel like when you are a leader, people assume that you know everything.
But you can't know everything.
Like if I dial my manager into this meeting, they're going to solve it.
You can't know everything. You probably have more experience that helps you inform certain decisions, guides your perspectives, and so forth. But there are situations, maybe say something is a bit more technical than you know. So you're going to need to bring in someone. Yeah, bo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were there ever moments in your childhood where you're like, I'm going to leave this place and I'm not coming back?
Many. 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 I think I was always sure, Guti, I am not going to end up in Lukshin. But I will come back to take other kids with me. But I'm not going to end up there. Because of various things, right? You see the social ills more. I'm such an empath. So a lot of things affect me more.
Yes.
Yeah, bo. And then also just knowing that I wanted better for my family and myself used to drive me all the time. So when I read newspapers and stuff, I always used to look at places. Because I wonder Gunjani Asia. I wonder how UK is like. And I would imagine myself living in those countries and places as well. So yeah. That's why I'm not scared. I'm not scared of living anywhere.
I think for me, I don't want to say I hated Ilokshini, but I didn't like it. I really didn't like it. And I also noticed now that if I had not grown up there, there's a huge potential of me turning out way more better than I did.
You think?
I think so.
I think it's what made me.
Really?
Yeah. I actually think it's what made me. That's why I'll always appreciate it so much. I don't know. I feel like even when I started working, there was a point where I thought I'd work for a certain organization and I was going to have money. Like, money. And my I didn't have this personality now. Like I had a big ego. So I was just gonna be mureki.
Oh.
Like travel. I still love to travel and stuff like that, but I'm also reasonable. I think then I was just gonna be that girl. You know what I mean? I don't know if you see her in your head. But I feel like it actually molded me. So I don't know if I was from another family, I would have turned out this way.
I think with me, I see how the other kids that are not from there, how life is going for them.
I guess, yeah.
Majority of them, they do well.
But the
majority of us don't. In my streets, I'm probably the only person with a postgrad degree.
True.
I'm probably the only person who's seen certain things happen for them.
True.
That's why I don't like this space, because chances of getting out there, very slim.
You have to work harder.
Yes.
It doesn't come with ease.
No,
that comes
it
with
doesn't.
a mom with the networks.
It doesn't.
And okay, I can take that perspective.
It doesn't.
You're saying it almost sets you up for success immediately.
Yes.
Whereas we had to
put in like
work hard
5 times more.
True.
Compared to them. Because obviously you have to, for me to be a good speaker, I had to read.
Yeah. Because English.
I used to read. Because from the education I got, primary, I'm not saying my teachers were horrible. They were great. And also I had teachers that believed in me. I remember my maths teacher, Mem Shanga. I'm not sure if she is. When I would get like a 50 or 60, I failed. And everyone would know that I failed. Everyone would know that at that time there's people who got their 20s, there's people who got their 10s. No, the attention would just be on you the whole, and you Lerato. So I feel like I did have great teachers, and they pushed for me to be great. They saw something in me, but I still feel like I could have been more things could have happened for me.
Yeah. And now you can do that for your children, pretty much.
Yes.
But for you, I get that. I get that perspective. And it is true. Because I look at my nephew now and the way we're setting him up, the child is okay.
You see?
Whatever happens in life, he's okay. But I do think, at least for me, my drive comes from that thing.
Yes, me too. I don't ever want to go back. I love them and all, but no.
My drive also comes from that thing. So as we wrap up, what do you think if you had to go back and tell little Lerato, right, about this phase and maybe, you know, give her a piece of advice, knowing what you know, what would that be or look like?
I would tell her that she is great and that she mustn't give up and that all the plans that she has in store for herself are going to happen and that she mustn't worry, just focus on putting in the work. I think because I feel like little me was so ambitious.
I mean, I thought I'd be in a Ferrari by 30, so.
Oh, same. Little me was so ambitious. She was just that girl. If there's this, she wants to be in it. I'd also tell her that I'm proud of her because I think I am proud of my younger self. I am proud of the me in high school. I'm proud of the me in varsity because all those versions of myself contributed to the
who you are
person I
now.
am now. What would you say to the Lungile that's in grade 11?
First of all, I thought I was great as a child.
I think you were
Like-
great.
Like, whenever I tell the story, I can't even believe it's me. I think my breaking happened later in life. Imagine. So I think if I were to tell little Lungi, who's going to be an older person who's going to go through the things that I've been through later, is to just tell her things will always work out. Sometimes not like you think. Because when you are used to getting things going your way and you are the star girl and the trailblazer, you think if your plan is A and the answer is B, you're always going to get B. But my life has taught me as I've gotten older that sometimes it's a D. And the D is greater, actually. And the journey to the greater is sometimes not easy, but worth it. So to just keep going and appreciate myself through it. Because as I experienced failure, some delays, timelines and stuff, I've often not been proud of those versions and super hard on them. Right? Because I'm just like, you are great. You're supposed to be so great.
Yes.
What is this? You're supposed to be here by this time. You're supposed to be there by this time. So it's just okay also to be okay with whatever version at the time, because that's what you need for the next. Sometimes you need a bit of breaking to be even greater.
I was saying to
Yeah.
someone that I am kind of scared
Yeah.
because I haven't failed much in life. And I feel like once I have a big epic fail, I'm going to crash.
You won't crash because we are here. But it's also the perspective of failure. So Ariana Huffington says, failure,
You love her.
I love her. But also I listened to her recently. She says failure is as vital as success.
Okay.
They go together. And I guess what I've learned from her, and I refer to her because it's a topic that I struggle with. What I've learned from her is that you keep it moving. You don't stay in it. Okay. I stay in it a lot.
Yeah.
So you keep it moving. It's imperative to your success, and you keep it moving.
But what if it feels like your
life is ending?
It's just failure. After this failure, another one.
I think even then, there's lessons in between. So when I started, at some point, I lived in India. I was in Edison, whatever. And at first, when I got there, I felt like I was failing because, all the kids were familiar with the area. They could speak in Hindi, and I couldn't. So I had to work 10 times more. The first team that I worked with, there was a lot of adjusting to do. And at some point, I wanted an award so badly that I felt like anything I achieved in between was not good.
Yeah.
But then I realized was actually I know so much. When I came to South Africa, like my first time, and people asked me about the experience and what I've learned, but I can design.
You
I
can do so many
calculations.
things.
There was so much I could do. So sometimes what you deem a failure actually is not really a failure.
Okay,
It's just your standards.
Sometimes you hear from someone that what you did was great.
Exactly.
For me, yeah, it
and
had
for
to
you,
be
it's
done.
like Aisuga. You know what I mean? So it's also learning to filter that out for yourself and speak kind words to yourself. So like treat yourself like how you would someone else.
Okay.
We tend to be kinder and whatever to other people, and then very critical of ourselves. So you must just turn down the criticality a bit and see, what has happened. So for me, for instance, I told you that I'm in the season of waiting, right?
Yes.
It has felt like one of your epic failures. But in the process, I've learned so much about my skill sets, about the work that I do, the work that I want to do, what I'm good at, the type of skills I want to take forward and hone in. There's so much I've done with Alpha in that space. You know what I mean? So even though I didn't get my ultimate goal as yet, there's so much more
Some things
happening
happened, yeah.
in between. So yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
If you're sitting at home, we hope that conversation resonated with you. Parts of it resonated with you. We spoke about so many things that affect us as different generations. And I think one can say, even though, there's Gen Zs or millennials, we are all people at the end of the day, and we go through similar experiences. Yeah. What I hope we do is share those with others so that whoever is younger or going through the same thing that you have been through doesn't have to experience it the same way, that they are actually open to softness. Until next time.